5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to TrojanVision's The Week That Was, covering the news and events for the week ending Friday, April 8th, 2022. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. Troy University students got some good news this week that will affect their pocketbook. The school announced tuition prices for the next school year, and students won't have to pay more than they paid this year. Claudia Peppenhorst has the details.
Troy University students won't have to worry about adding to their college costs next year, as they will not see an increase in their tuition payments in the fall of 2022.
For the third consecutive year, I am delighted that Troy University is able to announce no tuition increase for the academic year ahead. With the inflation rate approaching 8% compared to less than 2% last year, we're aware that we must do all that we can to ensure that a Troy University education is both accessible and affordable.
In addition to no tuition increase, Troy students won't see any added fees to their bill, as the university is sticking with the payment plan it established last fall.
We're also continuing our clear cost pricing structure that eliminates most fees, and it's easy to understand. Certainly anyone who has tried to decipher their cable TV bill or a medical statement will appreciate this transparency.
The Clear Cost Plan sets single tuition prices for undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral students across all Troy campuses, eliminating most fees. An undergraduate Troy University student will pay $388 per credit hour. Hawkins says that keeping tuition down helps reduce student debt.
I think one of the great challenges in American higher education today is the amount of student debt owed. It's approaching $1.8 trillion, and there are almost 50 million students affected. On average, these students will owe about $30,000+. We're very proud that at Troy University, even though we would like for it to be zero, student debt on average is less than $20,000. Why? I think American higher education has continued to escalate, and that's why it's so critically important that we do everything we can to make sure the Troy University experience is affordable.
Saturday, Troy University honored the memory of former Provost Fred Davis with the dedication of a statue that sits in our prominent location on Troy's North Quad. Kaylee Wright has the story.
The statue that stands in front of Troy University's library has now been dedicated in the memory of Fred Davis, a former provost and longtime employee of Troy University. Chancellor Jack Hawkins Jr. says the university wanted to be able to recognize Davis for his contributions to Troy.
This is significant because Fred Davis was significant. There have been very few people in the last 100 years who made more of a difference at Troy than Fred. He was chief academic officer, but he was so much more than that. And I think we've seen the outpouring of love and support and respect that Fred enjoyed from all those students and colleagues who knew him.
Hawkins says the Student Scholar statue was an appropriate choice for dedication due to Davis's love of learning.
But he was a very learned scholar. He loved the literature, he loved the written word, he was a grammarian, and you'd best not have a dangling participle in your sentence because Fred would capture it. You know, he made sure all the T's were crossed and all the I's were dotted, and we felt something that would reflect that love of learning, the love of writing, the love of reading would be appropriate, and we had no better representation than this statue that had been donated by the late Hubao Xu.
The Student Scholar was recently moved to its location in front of the library. Hawkins adds that its placement adds significance to the dedication to Davis.
So it's a great honor to have something on a daily basis to remind us not only of Hubao Xu, but particularly of Fred Davis, and that's why we made the decision to place it in front of the library, a place that he truly loved.
Troy University is known as Alabama's International University, and last Friday, the university welcomed a group of military officers from around the world to Troy to check out the campus. Kadarius Brown has the story.
Troy University hosted international officers on its campus. They got to tour the campus, speak with the chancellor and students, and while doing so, they also got to watch the university's live newscast. Now, come join me. 19 officers from 14 international countries visited the campus Friday morning. The chancellor greeted the crew. The international officers are in school at the Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. The chancellor tells more on the significance of the event.
I think the international community is extremely important, not only to the United States, but to the world around us. And so for us to have the opportunity to be engaged in welcoming military personnel from around the world, it's an honor for us to do that.
During their visit, the international officers sat down for a one-on-one exclusive interview with students in Professor East's interviewing class.
I was able to allow my interviewing students to interview these officers from all across the world, and it's just such a great opportunity for them to learn about other cultures, to learn about these officers, because many of them go into high, powerful political positions in their countries, and so they're making great connections and learning how to ask great questions, and it's just such a wonderful opportunity.
We hear from a student and an officer on their interview experience.
We just talked about what he experienced here and what his beliefs are and what his motivation is, and it was very interesting to hear that. We just have more things to compare, we can see the differences and the similarities between that, so it was very nice.
It was really nice. She had a lot of questions, really well systemized, one by one, and the talk comes really naturally, really fluent.
The international officer tells us more about what he's most excited for on his tour of campus.
Just what to say, definitely to see other people. I mean, not only military personnel, and I'm really glad that all of you guys are over here. It's really nice. It's really nice, yeah.
Afterwards, the group got to watch a live newscast from the TrojanVision studio. The military members got to see the behind the scenes of the midday student news show. You could say having the international officers on the international campus was a full circle experience. Kadarius Brown, Troy, TrojanVision News.
We'll take a short break, but when we return, we'll see how Troy's International Art Center gave people the chance to make their own art. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
We all dream, but dreams quickly become distant memories, unless we do something about it. Do everything in our power to learn to lead. At Troy University, we offer leadership opportunities from day one. We're dedicated to teaching a new generation to lead change. Do you have what it takes to change the world?
It's a beautiful day out here, sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it, let's go.
Troy's International Art Center is an impressive display of 200 Terracotta Warrior statues. However, many students may not know the background of the actual statues the display is based on. As Kayla Wright shows us, last week's Chinese Tea Talk helped educate students about the history behind the display.
You may have seen the Terracotta Warriors at Janice Hawkins Park, but at the final Tea Talk of the semester, the Chinese Culture Club invited a professor from China to talk about the real Terracotta Warriors located in Xi'an, China. The warriors were placed around the burial site of Emperor Qin Huang to serve him in the afterlife, and each warrior is unique in its own way.
Each warrior has an individual face. So they actually modeled the warriors after real people. So it's not like they used a cookie cutter to make all of them. They actually made very unique warriors all the way down.
Many of the attendees learned something they never knew before about these relics from an ancient time.
I actually did a presentation on this last semester, but I had no idea about the actual the tomb of Qingxi Huang.
I also didn't know that they had color. So apparently, when we look at them now, they just look like clay and stone, but apparently they were painted with a lot of different colors. I never knew that.
Only a small portion of the tomb has been excavated, and archaeologists continue to make new discoveries. However, what Dill has seen on his trips to Xi'an is impressive.
They've only excavated just a small portion of it, and they covered it in these sort of like airplane hangars that you go inside of, and there are just rows and rows of chariots and horses and warriors. And from the picture, it's hard to tell just how big it is, but when you walk in, it's like almost like a football stadium, each hangar. And it's just a football field worth of these warriors.
Even though there will not be any more tea talks this semester, the Chinese Culture Club will still be holding and participating in Troy University events.
While the Terracotta Warriors are always at the International Arts Center, the IAC is also home to a number of temporary exhibits, including one by Troy faculty that was celebrated with a reception. Caroline Gerhardt has the story.
Thursday evening, a Troy University faculty art show entitled A Walk in the Forest was displayed in the IAC, featuring artwork created by the university's own art and design professors. Interim chair of the department, Greg Skaggs, enlisted the help of students to support their teacher's show.
All the publicity, all the marketing was actually created by students. And so they developed, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 titles, and then I chose one. So
all of the pieces on display are original creations, ranging from acrylic on canvas to photography, sculptures, and even digital media.
Artwork such as this piece displayed next to me entitled Royal Wrap is on display to give professors a chance to show off their talents to their students.
Well, it's actually highlighting all of our faculty members, or almost all of our faculty members, that get to showcase a little bit of their artwork. And you know, I think students don't see us as producers of art, so it's kind of cool that they get to see us as artists. So it's just a sampling of everybody's artwork.
In addition to admiring their mentors' art, students also got the opportunity to assess the skills of their professors and see their individual passion through their work.
Because we've been in the IEC doing work here, and they've had to critique some pieces, and they've chosen mine, which is a little awkward but fun at the same time. So they've enjoyed the pieces, and I think kind of surprised to see works that I've never shared any of my work, so it's kind of cool for them to see what I do outside the classroom.
The exhibit will be on display in the IAC until April 13th. Caroline Gerhardt, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Another exhibit on display in the International Arts Center uses a special art technique called cyanotype. The center gave visitors a chance to try their hand at the unique technique. Taylor Wayman shows us how.
Thursday, Troy University's IAC held a cyanotype workshop inspired by Will Jacks's exhibit called Absolute Rest. The IAC has done many workshops throughout the semester, but with the weather warming up, conditions were more than ideal for students to participate in cyanotype canvases, which require exposure to sunlight.
We want our students to have the opportunity to come and create art and explore and investigate all the materials we've set out with this workshop.
Plexiglass, cardboard, and natural flowers. The IAC knows how to ring in springtime with their cyanotype arts and craft event. Unlike many forms of art, creating a cyanotype doesn't have to be perfect. It holds beauty within each individual canvas, almost as if the art form reflects the reality of life. Beauty can be found in the most unperfect places.
The fun thing about it is that you cannot mess it up. It is always beautiful, and we wanted everyone to feel welcome to come here and to create art, because it's a very therapeutic thing to do in the middle of a busy day of work or study. And of course, for us, it's so important to offer these events just to make everyone come into our space and to know that we are their art center and that, you know, art is for everyone. And we've had a great turnout, so we're really excited.
The workshop took little to no time to put together, so students pressed for time but in need of a little therapy were welcome to come out and create a piece of art of their own before heading back to their next class.
We are just glad to get people to come through our doors, especially if they've never been. Just let them know that we're open every day and that they can come in between classes for a little break and especially on days like today, create art.
Taylor Wayman, Troy, TrojanVision News.
We're going to take another quick break, but when we come back, music industry students learn from a career vocalist who's worked with musical legends. That's coming up right after this, so stay tuned.
We all dream, but dreams quickly become distant memories unless we do something about it. Do everything in our power to learn to lead. At Troy University, we teach everyone to be leaders in their field. We're dedicated to teaching a new generation to lead change.
Mama. Mama.
Say mama. Yeah.
I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm almost 2 now and still not responding. That's one sign of a communication disorder, and delaying treatment can affect my development.
Many parents aren't aware of the early signs of speech, language, and hearing disorders, yet early detection and treatment can improve quality of life.
Say dada.
Ugh, here we go.
Identify the signs of communication disorders.
Students in Troy's music industry program are working towards making a living in music. Recently, some of those students had the chance to pick the brain of a vocalist with a long career singing with some big-name acts. Jennifer Kyle has the story.
Career vocalist Shawn Murphy visited the Troy University campus to share her experience in the music industry with Troy students. In her career, she has performed with such well-known artists as Bob Seger, Eric Clapton, and Phil Collins. Although she is known for her singing skills, Murphy says her visit to Troy was a first in her career.
You know, this is my actual first day of doing this, and I am astounded at how great these young people are. I never get a chance to be in contact with a lot of young people, so you know, in my line of work, it's sort of a bam, 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 and then you're gone, you go home. But it's just been a fantastic experience.
One of the students in attendance is member of Troy's popular music ensemble Populous. He says he wanted to be able to learn directly from someone who has experience in music.
I'm in Populous, and Mr. Smith, he kind of talked to us about it, and really interested in just gaining as much knowledge as I can about the industry, and I knew her name, some of the people that she worked with, and really want to learn more about that. And yeah, like I said, getting more knowledge about the industry. It's always good to learn from people that have been in the industry and have worked with people that I look up to.
Murphy gives advice to students who are looking to follow in her footsteps and go into the music industry.
Believe in yourself.
Yeah, I have plenty of
give 100%, maybe 110%. Be focused and learn everything you can about your art form or your career.
Jennifer Kyle, TrojanVision News.
The Trojan softball team picked up their 4th straight Sun Belt Series with a win on Saturday over Georgia State. Simon Schuessler has the highlights from Saturday's win.
The Trojan softball team entered Saturday's matchup versus Georgia State looking for their 3rd win in a row, including a victory versus the Panthers the day before in a low-scoring 1-0 affair. The Trojans struggled early on, giving up a run off of an error in the 1st inning. However, the Trojans would rebound quickly, scoring at least 1 run in the first 3 innings to give them a 4-1 lead heading into the top of the 4th inning. The highlight of the game came in the bottom of the 3rd inning when Taylor McKinney rounded the bases on an inside-the-park home run thanks to a Georgia State error.
I kind of figured it out when I was rounding second. I see T-Smart waving me. I'm like, oh, I got this.
So I was just like, yeah, I'm just glad I could like score for my team and get us an extra point on the board.
From that point forward, the Trojans' job was to keep the Panthers off the scoreboard and maintain their lead. Despite a wild pitch bringing in a runner in the top of the 5th inning, the Trojans would deter any hope of a late-game comeback thanks to an amazing one-hit performance by sophomore pitcher Libby Baker.
It feels great. It feels great to finish the game strong like that, and a lot of my success comes from my defense. I think the outfield made really awesome plays today and just kept me in the ballgame. So,
Co-interim head coach Holly Ward was thrilled with her squad's defensive execution in the first 2 games of the series, holding an aggressive Georgia State team to only 2 runs through the first 2 games of the series.
Well, Georgia State's a really good hitting team, so I've been really proud of the way that our defense and pitching has performed. I mean, going in, we knew that they were going to be aggressive, so just being able to attack the zone early and make plays behind our pitchers and really just pick each other up. I mean, you know, we had an error today, but then being able to get the strikeout afterwards is great for Libby and our defense.
The Trojans did end up dropping the final game of the series on Sunday, 4-0, but now they shift their focus ahead to travel to Georgia Tech on Tuesday. Simon Schuessler, Troy, TrojanVision Sports.
The Trojan baseball team was also in action over the weekend as they welcomed the Little Rock Trojans for a 3-game series. Cy Yates has the results of Sunday's final game of the series.
After splitting the games on Friday and Saturday, the Troy baseball team looked to take the series win on Sunday against Little Rock, but unfortunately, the other Trojans would prevail.
Yeah, it's disappointing when you don't play good baseball. You know, I know the scoreboard's shut off now, but when you make 3 errors, multiple other plays to be made, generally speaking, that's when you lose games. You know, big innings, which, you know, they only scored in 3 of the 6, but it was a 3, a 4, and a 3, which is disappointing. That's something that we've avoided 98% of the year.
Troy found themselves in an early 3-0 hole on Sunday, but big plays including a home run from Kyle Mock had the score level after the 4th.
Well, you know, I think a guy he's really repurposed himself. He's figured out kind of what he needs to do to get himself prepared and obviously get his barrel on time too, which I think he's done a great job of. You know, I feel really good about, you know, those guys at the top of the order now in terms of what they've been doing.
Little Rock quickly retook the lead after more Troy miscues led to a 4-run 6th inning and added on 3 extra in the 9th to beat the boys from Troy by a score of 10-6. Despite the loss, Skylar Mead says he's not worried about the series loss.
You know, it hurts. It's a gut punch, but I think at the same time, every team's going to have one of those gut punches during the course of the year. And so I'm glad we're going on the road this week where we can be very together and hunker down over that 5-day trip.
The Trojans will hope for better results as they hit the road this week to take on Southeastern Louisiana and ULM. Cy Yates, Troy, TrojanVision News.
It's time for our last break. When we return, we'll get to know Troy University's Student Government President-elect. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Ava Carnaza was recently elected Troy University's new Student Government Association president. We'll get to know the new president-elect in this week's Trojan Talk. Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. With me today is Troy University's SGA president-elect Ava Carnaza, here to talk a little bit about herself and her plans for the semester coming up in the fall and the school year. First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, for the folks at home out there that don't know much about you because you've just been elected recently, give us a little bit of background on you. Where are you from? How'd you get here to Troy?
So I'm from Enterprise, Alabama. I'm a junior marketing major. I've been in SGA for the past 3 years. I started off as a freshman forum delegate, and that's how I kind of got involved with SGA, and I've loved every bit of it.
Well, what's your major?
Marketing.
Marketing.
Yes.
So what's your kind of goal on that at post-graduation with that marketing degree?
Oh, I'm not sure. For the past probably year now, I kind of want to work at the Braves stadium. I think that would be really cool to market them. Because I am a big Braves fan as well, so I think that would be so cool.
It's a good time to be a Braves fan too.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about you and newly elected SGA president. You said you've been involved in the SGA for many years, but was this a goal of yours to be SGA president? It's like, I knew I wanted to be SGA president?
Not at all. So I came into college and I was very, not sheltered, but I was very quiet. I was known as the quiet girl. I kind of just, my leadership style was more servant. And I mean, it still is to a certain aspect, but I feel like I'm more outspoken. If you would have asked me or told me that I was going to be SGA president my senior year, I would have laughed at you, because this wasn't a goal of mine. It kind of just, it was an opportunity because of how much I've grown throughout many aspects of my life because of SGA and in SGA.
So SGA itself is what kind of groomed you into this position right now, where you felt comfortable enough that this is something you could run for.
Correct. Whether it's public speaking or even having to communicate with different people and having those different perspectives. So it's taught me so much, and I'm very thankful for my time in SGA.
And let's talk about next year and your plans for next year, especially like what you ran on, your platform, your ideas. What are some of your goals for your term as SGA president?
Yes, so I have a lot of goals. Two of my main ones are international involvement. So throughout my time campaigning, I had a lot of international students and domestic students come up to me and say that they want to see international students involved more on campus, as well as implement them in different activities throughout campus. So that I want to do different events and just kind of let them adapt and help them adapt and give them that opportunity to do so. Because whether you're here for a semester or 4 years, I feel like Troy University is such a great school and we can make such a great impact on them.
And that's one goal. You said you had two main goals. What's your second goal? The main goal there.
What did I say?
You want to talk about what your plans are for maybe getting the word out to get involved with things there on campus?
Yes. So another thing that students came up to me was athletics.
Okay.
So SGA's job is to put the students in the seats. So one big thing I want to do is to make sure all the pep rallies and athletic events are planned before the start of school, just so like students can sit down and write that in their calendar as soon as they come back. Sometimes, I mean, I'm one of them, I forget that I'm a student because you get so involved, and so we're super busy, and I feel like if we communicate better with the student body and get that out ahead of time, our participation would definitely increase at these athletic events and pep rallies.
And obviously you say you've got a lot of goals. What are you trying to do to implement some of these goals? What are your ideas for kind of getting this out there and how you're going to kind of work the SGA?
So I actually just started interviewing for my cabinet. We have an athletic board, and so I want to kind of restructure that. I'm going to what's it called?
You're going to delegate authority into people? So
yes,
it's like,
a director for each committee within the cabinet, and that will really help them kind of structure it better. And I want them to make a goal for each committee within my cabinet, so they can continually work towards that throughout the semester, because I know we start the semester and then we forget what we're doing, and then by the time we know it, it's the end of the semester and we haven't done anything. So I just want to make sure that they have a goal that they can constantly work towards.
And of course, seeing all that come together, working with the SGA, working in the student body, and obviously as SGA president, what are your goals in communicating with the student body themselves? Like, how can students be able to come up to you? What is their ideas of trying to get their ideas implemented?
Yes, so one thing I did during my campaign was sitting out in TC, and I feel like that's a very popular spot, and I met so many different students, whether I knew them or I haven't never seen them before. So that's a great, just standing out there and talking to students. I think being personable with students and allowing them to have the opportunity to come up and speak to you is just really great, and like it gives you a different perspective, and just seeing what they want to see changed on campus. So I think just sitting down and having conversations with people really will help us see, hey, what does Troy University need to do to better their campus?
Well, Ava, good luck with your term as SGA president. Thank you for joining us today and giving some insight on the SGA presidency of Ava Carnazza.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk. And that's the week that was. To find out what's happening on a daily basis, you can tune into Troy TrojanVision News at 5, 6:30, and 10:30, Monday through Friday. Or visit us anytime on the Troy TrojanVision News blog at today.troy.edu/TrojanVision. It's the online content from Troy TrojanVision News anytime you want. And until next time, have a good week.